I have to admit, guys, this case really got me worried for a second because it stated that it can support 360 radiator, and I wanted to place it on top. Obviously, it can fit on front since we get stock 120mm addressable RGB fans and one at the rear as well, but it kind of was odd to place it on top. And I'll tell you why. Today we have ENERMAX MarbleShell MS31 case, which on front it really does look quite interesting, a bit of a different design and everything altogether. But here in the inner part, it got me worried because the original placement of the front fans was in the inner part of the chassis, and this case has side mounting possibilities either for your 240 radiator, I think, maybe, or two 120mm fans. It doesn't really matter. But what happens when you have the fans inside, right? They block the possibility of mounting any of those two on the side, and you can't access the screws on the side, or you can't place anything on the side in that sense. So I wanted to place liqmaxflo 360 on top, but I couldn't. And then I checked this front panel right here. So what's the catch? I removed the fans from the inner part, placed them on the outside. Then I had another question: where should I place the magnetic dust filter? Where you can simply place it on the inner part and then you still have a dust filter, which is great. What happens now? You get loads of space inside, you get longer graphic art possibilities, you get a possibility to actually mount a 360 radiator, and you have a possibility to additionally mount something on the side. And that's it. This is the solution for the case. Now, there are some other things that I do need to clarify before we go any further, but let's finish this up. So, you can go with 3 120mm fans on the front. I'm not quite sure if you could go with 3 140, but you can definitely go with 2 140. On the side, 2 120, and I think you might be able to squeeze 240 radiator on the side, but the thing is, it has a dent-in possibility, it has a dent-in, let's say, shell, where you place the fans, and I'm not quite sure because I don't have a 240 radiator. I'm not quite sure if you could actually place it inside. You could wiggle it in and stuff like that, but yeah. At the back, as I said, but what's the problem with the 360 on top? The front top fan is blocking the tubes and the rear fan needs to be lower down. When you do that, this is what you can do. You can raise up the back fan quite easily, and it's quite normal, no problem with that. I've seen loads of cases that you need to remove the rear fan to be able to place the top radiator. When you do that, you can accommodate the liqmaxflo, which, remember, has a thicker radiator. And that's that. Now, when I place the fans on the front, no problems with placing the liqmaxflo on top, and no restrictions on the tubes or anything whatsoever. The cool thing is you get a actually quite cool anti-sag stand, let's put it this way. This is the Enermax, and it has Enermax logo, but it is actually Enermax. I'm not quite sure, it doesn't really matter. You get it with the case, and it's really cool because you can adjust the height, even though the ones that are sticked to the case at the back can also be adjusted with the height. But this one gives you more ease of access, I would say. The one thing that I hate, those, well, not hate actually, that's a strong word. The ones that I don't like at the back is that you have to adjust them at the back side of the case and then regulate the position at the same time, watching it here and going at the back, right? This here, you can just place it, raise it up, and adjust the GPU to be in perfect horizontal position. That's it. Now, when we go into the GPU segment, since I'm already here, the issue with 4000 series is of course the 12V HPWR cable. As you can see, I have the cable mod extensions right here, and they are sticking out quite a lot, I do have to say. And let's remember, you have to place 3.5 centimeters of distance from the connection part until you start to bend it, and that goes out of the chassis. But thankfully we have loads of power supplies that come with bent by 90 degrees 12 VHPWR cables. And this is the possibility where you can do and actually go with RTX 4000 series, and that's basically it. There's nothing else to say here. There are loads of there is loads of space here for the GPU, unless you go with the radiator on the side, if you can mount it, because it will block the length of the GPU. But you can place fans on the side with the long GPU. That's definitely possible. Now, there's also one more thing. You can place, I think this is two 120 here at the bottom of the power supply shroud fans, and you have a nice opening for the ENERMAX Revolution DFX power supply, which also comes in RGB, so you can adjust that and make the whole build stand out and look quite nicely. Now, the one thing, we have side tempered glass, which is thinner than usual, but it has these hinges and a lever to open it out quite nicely. I removed it because it will definitely block my face from talking with you guys, because I can't close the panel because of the 12V HPWR. But as I said, it's not a problem, because I know not all of you guys will go with custom sleeved cables, extenders or whatever, and this is a nice budget case. So if you're going on a budget, you're definitely not going to go and buy extenders and spend extra money if you could upgrade your PC, right? So check the cables that come with the power supply and actually grab something that has 90 degrees angle so you can nicely close the door. Now let's go forward. In the power supply shroud, we have a hard drive cage that can accommodate one 3.5-inch hard drive, and I think you could most likely place 2.5-inch SSD on the top, since we're at SSDs, right? At the back of the motherboard, you have possibility for two additional 2.5-inch SSDs and nice space at the back. Now, since I mentioned the side part, we have loads of dust filters, right? We have one here that isn't magnetic at the bottom of the power supply shroud, but you can adjust it. Then we have magnetic dust filter on front, which can go both ways, so front or in inner part of the case. One at the top and one at the side that is magnetically attached to the back side panel. Now this case can accommodate mini EATX, micro EATX, ATX, and this is where they stop in their specifications. What I did is I placed an EATX motherboard and I lose the rubber grommets on the side. This comes in play specifically when you decide to place the fans or possibly the radiator on the side, because the 24 pin doesn't have enough room to be pushed through the, maybe if you place it before the motherboard and then just wiggle it around. It's all ifs. I didn't do that because I expected it to be a bit wider, but that's totally my imagination and my thoughts. So the 24 pin needs to go through those holes when you reroute them at the back, right? So all in all, you could go with the EATX motherboard, but you can forget about the side fans or side radiator. All in all, the case is quite nice. I mean, when we're talking about the budget configuration with 4 120 addressable RGB fans that are nice and silent, let's take those for a second and do reroute the cables, because the original cable management that this case comes with, you do need to do a bit of work. Specifically, if you actually switch the front fans to the front, then you have a nice possibility to reroute them at the back, and so they aren't seen, and use all those zip ties that you get in the accessory box. And then you can create a nice build that actually looks quite solid. And I do have to say, specifically with the front panel, that is a bit different than usual, and it doesn't obstruct any of the airflow coming inside the case, and that's it. As already stated, the back has loads of space for nice cable management, as you can see, and that would be all when we're talking about this specific part and my let's say what I noticed about this case. Now let's check some specifications. So regular material is tempered glass and SPCC. It actually does support EATX motherboard, but as I stated, it kind of blocks the side part, and that's it. Now you have two 3.5-inch hard drive bays at the bottom in the power supply shroud, 7 expansion slots, fan slots for the front is 3120 and 3140, top slot 3120 and 2140, rear is 1120, and side can be 2120. as the top power supply shroud to 120. So that's 11 120mm fans inside the case. On the front, and this is quite nice, you can go up to 420mm radiator, which is outstanding and gives you an option to go with their extreme AIO to cool down your processor. Top can go 360, and I already explained everything about the top, and the rear can support 120, so there's no mentioning of the side. But if you really want to play around, you could try it, play some distancers, which are, I would say, 1.5mm thick, to get that distance from that dent in of the chassis, to give you a possibility to actually use the screws and tie it up. Clearance for the graphic card, 370mm with the radiator on front, and 410mm without the radiator. Clearance for the CPU tower cooler, 162mm, and the cable rerouting canal at the back, while space at the back is 25mm. So basically it gives all the space that you need with 420, 360. You can't go simultaneously at the same time with 420 and 360, do remember that. But having a possibility in such a nice smaller case to go with 420 at the front, I think that's really cool. Now for some benchmarks, of course. We have liqmaxflo 360, we have AMD Ryzen 9 7900X3D, RTX 4080 Gaming X Trio from MSI, AIDA 64 Extreme Edition, CPU went up to 82 degrees Celsius, clock speed 4875 MHz, and GPU went up to 66 degrees. Cinebench R23, we have 87, 85, 86, and then it just started lowering down. I mean, this liqmaxflo is amazing AIO, I do have to say, and I stated that in that video actually, how it performs outstandingly good. It lowers down throughout the tests, and I think the first initial one, 87 degrees, was because I started it immediately after half an hour benchmark at AIDA 64. So yeah, there's that. When we're talking about clock speeds at Cinebench R23, it started at 4800, and then it ended up at 4850 MHz, which is outstanding. And immediately you can see the difference in Cinebench scores as well. Started at 26,000, it started boosting up at 26,100, eventually touching 200, and then just skyrocketed at 26,400, going even to 26,500, which is great. This case has the airflow because it doesn't, at some point it doesn't matter what kind of AIO you have, if the case is blocked, you can't get a proper performance from the AIO. Quite logical, right? But this case has a nice ventilation options. It's really great possibility to accommodate your high-end in a budget case. This case is really great, and I love the front panel because it's a bit different, of course, but the inner part is kind of reconfigured, even though it looks very similar to some other cases. But 420 at the front, 360, okay, regardless of the top, most cases have 360 at the top, but sides eventually manage 240 radiator if you want to do that, want to save, but you can place it anywhere else. And yeah, there's that, guys. Hope you liked this case. This was Enermax MarbleShell MS31, and we have the Revolution DFX 850 plus the liqmaxflo 360, the outstanding AIO from Enermax, which I'm still praising because it really does perform great. That's it for today. The links are in the description for you guys to check it out if you desire to do so, of course, logical. And if you're new to the channel, you haven't clicked that subscribe button, I think it's time. And plus click the like button and of course notification bell. And that'll be all for today, guys. Thanks for watching. See you very soon. Bye bye.